Hello and welcome back. If you haven't watched my intro to Airbrushes video yet, you'll probably want to go watch that one first before you watch this one. In this segment, I'm going to explain the other equipment you need in order to use your airbrush. There's really only two other things you have to have for your airbrush to be usable. One is a compressor, the other is a hose to connect the airbrush to the compressor. For compressors, you have a couple options. If you already have a shop compressor, you can actually use that for your airbrush. If you don't have a shop compressor, you can buy an airbrush compressor. This is my airbrush compressor. I've had it for 3 or 4 years. It's from Harbor Freight. It retails for around $80, but sometimes you can get them even cheaper. It's been a great little compressor. I'm not totally down on Harbor Freight tools as long as they work reliably. On the front here, you have a pressure gauge, this knob which controls the pressure that goes to your airbrush. And right here is called a moisture trap. That keeps water out of your hose going to the airbrush. One thing to note about airbrush compressors is they generally don't have a tank. You have the pump and that's it. So when you're using your airbrush, generally speaking, this is going to be running almost all the time. The setup for an airbrush compressor is very simple. You attach one end of the hose to the compressor and the other end of the hose to your airbrush. One thing you'll want to pay attention to when you set up your compressor is make sure all of your connectors are the right size. Not all hoses and connectors are the same sizes, and they vary by manufacturers with the airbrushes. So make sure to double check that you have the right size, or you might be disappointed when you go to hook everything up and they're not compatible. You may have noticed the quick connectors I have on my airbrushes. These aren't required or anything, but they're very handy if you have multiple airbrushes and you want to be able to quickly between them. They just snap in. If you plan to use your shop compressor for your airbrush, you can add a moisture trap to the hose line. I had this particular trap set up with a quick disconnect on one end and then a coupler on the other end for the airbrush hose. The moisture trap is just a minimum thing that you'll want to add to your line. You can add other dryers, including desiccant dryers, to the line as well, but they're not required. To give you an idea of what that might look like, this is my setup for my airline drying. It has several filters and a desiccant dryer. It's all connected into my main shop compressor. The final item you'll definitely want for your setup for airbrushing is some type of holder to hold your airbrushes while you're working with them. It's really difficult if you don't have something to hold your airbrush and for you to pour the paint in. And once you pour the paint in and you're holding it with paint in it and you need to do something and set it down, and without a place to stow it, it can be a total pain. You can purchase inexpensive holders. This one just happens to be one that I made from some scrap wood from my shop. I just added some holes in it that fit the barrel of the airbrush and some cutouts so that the wood wouldn't interfere with the cup. And it works pretty well, and it's the only one I've ever really used. I think that pretty much covers it as far as basic setup goes. The next thing I want to talk about a little bit is paints. It's not going to be a really comprehensive, in-depth dive into paints, but I thought it'd be nice to go over some of the paints that I like to use. This is Tamiya acrylic. It's not specifically airbrush paint. You can thin it with isopropyl alcohol. I use 91% for that. It dries fairly quickly and it's available in a wide range of colors. I painted the wasp helmet in 3 different colors of Tamiya paints. This is Vallejo Model Air. It's specifically airbrush paint. You can use it straight from the bottle. It dries super fast. It's available in a wide range of earth tone colors. I painted the wood grain handles on Tariel's daggers with 3 colors of Vallejo Air. Wicked Colors by Createx and Createx branded acrylic paints are great all around ready to use airbrush paints. Although you can use them straight from the bottle, if you add 40-12 reducer, you can get much better flow. And if you add 40-30, it will help improve the spray performance, adhesion, leveling, and durability. The sword and armor seen here were painted with various colors and sheens. of Wicked Colors and Createx. All-clad lacquers are some of the best looking metallics available. Lacquers are more toxic than acrylics, so be sure that you're prepared for that. You will need lacquer thinner for cleanup. Also, most require a black base before applying. I used All-Clad's airframe aluminum and pale gold for the sort of seals. I think that covers the basics of what you need to know to start airbrushing. Keep an eye out for the next episode where I'll cover the basics of painting and everybody's favorite topic when it comes to airbrushes, cleaning. Yeah, cleaning, I know, it sucks. And it's probably the worst thing about using an airbrush. I hate cleaning, but it's one of the most important things because without a clean airbrush, you can't get good results. Thanks so much for watching. I'd appreciate a thumbs up if you liked the video. If you haven't subscribed already, hit that subscribe button and you'll be able to keep up with all the new videos I'm putting out this year. See you next time.